stay out of this.
The flight attendant at the center of a nasty confrontation is under suspension today by American Airlines. It happened on a flight from San Francisco to Dallas. We have seen the video, the airline says. The flight attendant has been removed from duty while we immediately investigate this incident. But the flight attendants' union is expressing some degree of support for the man. We don't know all of the facts related to a passenger who became distraught while boarding a plane, and therefore neither the company nor the public should rush to judgment. The video is shocking. You see the woman, reportedly a citizen of Argentina, sobbing as she holds her baby. According to fellow passengers, she was struck in the face after the flight attendant forcibly took her baby stroller and almost hit the baby by accident.
You can't use violence with baby. Just give me back my stroller, please.
You see one passenger appalled at what she saw. As the tears flow, you hear another passenger intervene.
Hey, sir, what's the guy's name that did that with the stroller?
Things escalate dramatically.
Hey, bud, you do that to me and I'll knock you flat.
You stay out of this. Come on, try it.
You get the hell up. You get the hell up.
Come on. Bring it
You
on.
try that with a man, I'll knock you out. Well, I'll knock you silly.
Another flight attendant tries to calm everyone down, but the tension flares up again.
You keep looking at me and it shows me it's what you did to that lady.
Keep it quiet.
In the statement, American Airlines says, "What we see on this video does not reflect our values or how we care for our customers. We are deeply sorry for the pain we have caused this passenger and her family and to any other customers affected by the incident." The latest controversy comes just 2 weeks after that stunning confrontation on a United Airlines flight where a passenger was dragged off the plane after he refused to give up his seat. Now a mother in tears is at the center of another drama.
我没办法的，我打死一个的。
干嘛？
放开！
你怎么这样讲话？你怎么这样讲话？
我在做我的工作，我怎么了？你前面推我什么意思啊？
我推你什么？我推你啊！你也开气吧！你别给我气吧！我推你啊！
Concerning sight in the air. A Seoul flight attendant on a plane going from Chicago to South Bend, Indiana, apparently intoxicated. ABC's David Curley has the story. Good morning, David.
Morning, Cecilia. That flight attendant out of a job this morning, facing charges as well, as passengers tell us they were worried about their safety. Concerned passengers this morning telling us they were frightened for their safety after spotting this flight attendant apparently intoxicated.
What I saw on the flight that day was a very concerning and confusing scene.
She was stumbling and kind of staggering back and forth, bumping into passengers.
On the short United Express flight from Chicago, passengers say that Seoul flight attendant appeared impaired even before takeoff.
It was clear that she was inebriated in some capacity. She had no coordination, no balance, was incomprehensible over the microphone.
And once in the air, it appeared to passengers that Julianne March passed out, the passengers even fastening her seatbelt for her.
One of the other passengers did get up at a certain point and help her sit down in her jump seat and actually buckle her in as if she was like a helpless child.
The fact that we didn't have an operational flight attendant on the flight meant that all of our safety and security was compromised.
Charging documents say the 49-year-old Wisconsin woman, upon landing in South Bend with officers boarding, needed to steady herself with the airplane seats when she stood. Officers noticing bloodshot eyes, slurred speech, and an odor of alcohol. When she finally took a breathalyzer test, her level was 0.2. 5 times over the legal limit for flight attendants.
It's unacceptable for anyone to have a distraction when they're performing safety-sensitive work or to be impaired in performing that safety-sensitive work.
It was just last week that a Delta pilot was taken off a plane and arrested, suspected of being intoxicated. And over the weekend, a similar situation with the captain of a United flight arrested in Scotland. Now, there is a program that both the flight attendants and the pilots use to self-report. The Flight Attendants Union tells us this is a rare occurrence, and that program helps about 150 flight attendants every year with questions or if they have a problem. Cecilia?
Wow, really frightening video there, though. Okay, David, thank you.
The clearest, closest video yet of a flight attendant's apparent meltdown.
Get out of my way!
This is cell phone video from passenger Kevin Rich, who says he then dropped his phone and helped restrain the flight attendant. But his phone kept recording Friday's incident on board American Airlines Flight 2332 on the tarmac in Dallas. The attendant's voice chillingly clear.
This has not happened to me since 9/11, and I'm not putting up with this!
Witnesses say she spoke of union issues and made an apparent threat.
Somebody call 911. Security system, I'm about to kill passengers before takeoff! Stop. I have been highly trained by the FAA.
Rich, the passenger who filmed the incident, says this about how passengers responded.
For anyone sitting in first class, there was a lot of empathy for her. It was obvious from her demeanor, the verbiage she used, and just her actions as a whole that, you know, there was never really a concern with us sitting there that there was something bigger or a terrorist plot or anything like that. It was just obvious that she had issues.
Rich and another passenger say they overheard the flight attendant say she was bipolar and had not taken her medication. Contacted by CNN, an American Airlines spokesman would not comment on that, referred us back to a statement they'd previously issued saying they're investigating. I watched the video with Sarah Nelson of the Association of Flight Attendants, the largest attendants union. It's not the union for American, but has been in contact with that airline over this incident. If she was bipolar, some might argue that even if she was taking her medication, she should not be in that particular job. What do you say to that?
Here's a 23-year employee, hundreds of thousands of flight attendants performing their job flawlessly throughout the industry. I think we need to take a science-based approach to that and determine whether or not we should be setting policy based on one incredibly rare instance.
In fact, experts on employment law say, as a general rule, federal law allows her to have that job as long as she takes her medication. While Rich was filming the incident up close, other passengers were calling 911. The calls capture the understandable confusion between those witnesses and dispatchers.
Okay, you're a flight attendant?
Somebody go help. Go help restrain her. Restrain her.
Okay, sir? Okay, hello, sir?
It looks like they're physically restraining a flight attendant.
Sarah Nelson gives the passengers and crew high marks for their response. She says flight attendants before every flight go over which member of their team is best equipped to handle a crisis in the cabin, and they place themselves accordingly. But of course, they were not likely ready for one of their own to do something like this. Wolf, we contacted American Airlines for comment on all of this. They will not comment on this yet. They say they're still investigating.
Ryan, you've also picked up other details on how the attendant was behaving from that passenger, didn't you?
That's right. Kevin Rich, who recorded the cell phone video and helped restrain this woman, says before she was restrained, she tried to open doors and get off the plane. He told me that at one point she called the people who were restraining her SEAL Team 6 and yelled at them to back off. So she was going through quite an upheaval there on that plane that day.
That JetBlue flight attendant who went ballistic is a free man tonight after posting bail. Steven Slater's mom called it a very small meltdown, but it sure has sparked a big response. And believe it or not, Slater still has his job tonight, at least for now. Here's Andrea Canning.
He's the man everyone seems to be rooting for.
There's some really great people out there, and I'm getting a glimpse of that. It's a surprise because obviously I have been away for a little while.
Steven Slater headed here to this Manhattan apartment building directly from jail where he had spent the past couple of days. When he was finally let out, it was a whole new life for the flight attendant. And clearly everyone wanted a piece of him.
It seems like something here has resonated with a few people, and that's kind of neat.
I sat down with Slater, and this morning we hear his side of the story for the first time.
I was in a little bit of a state of rage. I'd had it. I was absolutely done at that moment.
So what did you think was going to happen? I mean, you had sworn on the PA system. You had grabbed a beer or two from the galley. You had activated the emergency chute, slid down, got into your car, and drove home. What did you think was going to happen next?
You know, I didn't obviously think that through. Obviously, I knew I was going to have an internal issue with my employer.
Slater, why are you smiling?
Did you think, though, police were going to show up?
No, I didn't think
you didn't think you were going to be arrested for this?
I knew there'd be questions, certainly. No, I really, again, I wasn't really thinking about that at that moment. It was just, I got to go. And that's where I was.
Did you go home and tell your partner, I think I just really screwed up? I just quit?
You know, it was all so surreal and so fast. What I did do was I went home and I said to poor Ken, I said, you know, honey, I said, you know, those wonderful travel benefits that we've enjoyed for the last few years, I said, it's time to get to know a good local travel agent.